The House of M, but in DC Comics. What would that look like? It is very possible that DC's version of the House of M is simply just Flashpoint. Barry creating a new timeline in which everything basically goes wrong. But since I've taken so many Marvel stories and attempted to give it a new treatment within a DC universe, we're going to be doing the same thing here. Now, in this storyline, the main character is going to heavily be Raven. Now, at this point in time, Raven, of course, does know she is the daughter of Trigon, and Trigon, in fact, has been trying to get to her for years to make her a herald or a right-hand woman to her father, so that they together could be a force that could honestly never be stopped. And he creates a war between himself, all the demon and devilish creatures in his pocket dimension, versus all the heroes and even some villains on Earth who are willing to fight for humanity. And in this very deadly, tragic war, a lot of heroes and villains alike do end up perishing. So in one of the final moments against Trigon, where almost everything is reliant on Raven, she is the only one who could potentially have an uncracked potential in her abilities to take her father down. She matches up one-on-one while Trigon, holding Beast Boy by the head right in front of her, essentially threatens and says, use your full capacity. Show me how angry you can be. Show me the true demon you are. And if you don't, I'll kill the ones you deeply, deeply love. Raven just can't do it. She can't find the raw, untapped potential inside of herself, and she's not capable of disarming Beast Boy from Trigon, in which Trigon does indeed crush the skull of Beast Boy and kills him. Trigon already knew that's what he needed to do, so she could untap her potential, in which she does it right after that moment. Screaming and crying in pain over the loss of Beast Boy, she erupts a power that has never been seen before, a potential that even makes her more powerful than her father, and she completely envelops Trigon, killing him in the process. However, the downfall of using that power to kill her father, which was very much needed in the moment, it had a blowback effect. All the heroes in that vicinity do end up dying along with Trigon. She end up killing a lot of great heroes and a lot of good friends, not just close to her, but close to others. Some say it was a sacrifice that she had to make. Some say that she shouldn't be toying around with power in that way, and they would have found another way to defeat Trigon. There is realistically no right or wrong answer here. The main core of the Justice League, who do happen to still be alive, people like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, they lock her down to the Titan's Tower, which, by the way, I should also make mention that Raven, along with some of these other Teen Titans, they would all be around somewhere there early to mid-20s. The Justice League and the rest of the world's superheroes and superhero teams need to find a way to be able to move on from all the hero losses they've had from the war with Trigon, and even a lot of the innocent civilians who happened to pass during that battle. They also need to figure out, what do we do with Raven? Can she be trusted with this power? Many people even notice she's not really the same ever since she did kill Trigon. Even Raven realizes something is very different about her. She knows there's something inside her after using that ability that she doesn't know exactly what it is, but she needs to find a way to protrude this feeling from her body so she can fully get rid of it. So a lot of her days are spent in Titan's Tower meditating. Always keeping an eye on Raven in the tower is going to be either together or all separately Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, Tim Drake, Red Robin, and Arsenal. Throughout this entire process, Tim Drake is going to try and help her through her sorrow and her mourning, in which you would even be able to tell in the story they have a very good relationship with one another, and maybe you could even tell there is more than just being really good friends with each other. Maybe there is something there between the two of them, the way there was between her and Beast Boy as well. With all the discourse surrounding Raven on what should be done with her. What's to say that maybe she wouldn't lose control and become a new iteration of her father? Amanda Waller essentially says enough is enough. She sends in a covert operation into Titan's tower to find a way to assassinate her once and for all while she's in her meditation stance. Tim Drake ends up being there to protect Raven, so Tim Drake starts to take out this team one by one, all by himself. In a final moment, when Tim Drake finally gets back to Raven's meditation room, Tim ends up getting shot in the back, where he basically lies lifeless in front of Raven and starts to bleed out. Of course, so coincidentally, that is exactly when Raven wakes up and sees someone else that she so deeply cares for dead right in front of her eyes. Just before this particular hitman comes into the room and he's aiming some sort of rifle right at Raven's head, the words Azarath Metreon Zinthos come out of her mouth, but in the tone of her father. Her eyes go red and she does a crazy hand motion into a spell. Everything goes white. Suddenly, Rachel wakes up, and notice how I said Rachel and not Raven. In a bedroom, which is her bedroom, filled with photographs and books and items documenting so many memories in her life that she does not remember whatsoever. And she goes to her bedroom window, she opens it up and looks outside, and she sees this golden city with beautiful blue skies, teeming with all types of people and culture, and what you could even tell to be true, real happiness. This world is grand in every way, but she's looking around, obviously saying, what reality is this? What the hell happened? Where am I? She no longer has her magic, because once again, it is just Rachel. What happened in the reality bending process is Trigon took control of Raven, the demon part of Rachel, forced out the human part, leaving Rachel with no magical abilities, and demon Rachel, Raven, along with her father full-time. She starts running into people on the street who are talking to her as if they've known her for years. Even the World's Justice League and other subsequent teams that have branched off of the Justice League look wildly different. Imagine what it would look like if you blended a Justice Society of World War II with a legion of superheroes from the 31st century. This new reality just has a flavor to it that is not even comparable in the slightest to the real world. As Rachel starts to explore this new reality, she starts to have these visions and almost hallucinations of things that have happened and subsequently do relate to her, but she has almost no memory of it. And it is because these memories have been wiped from her mind, so she has no recollection of it whatsoever. She sees a woman that was assaulted and taken advantage of in the worst ways possible by Trigon. She sees this same woman become pregnant and flee from the grasp of Trigon, trying to find any type of sanctuary she possibly can and any way to keep her baby safe. And it's no secret that this woman Rachel is seeing is obviously her mother that Rachel has no memory of. It comes to the point where Rachel sees her mother deliver this baby herself to a world that looks very, very similar to the reality she is currently standing in. So as if things weren't strange for Rachel to begin with, they've even gotten weirder. How does she have these memories of a mother, of a woman she's never seen before, leading her as a baby to a sanctuary that literally looks exactly like this world when she has no memories, no history of ever being here in the first place? Wanting to find answers any way possible, she decides to try and look for a set of people who might know what's going on. That's going to be a lot easier said than done. Sparing a lot of those in-between details, eventually it will happen. And there's only 5 people in this makeshift reality who knows they're not in the real reality. And that would be Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, Arsenal, and Batman. I had to throw him in there. I'll get into why some of these characters are different than the rest of the world, but especially for Batman, it's because he has been able to train himself over time to not allow outside influence to directly influence his own mind. So he's capable of seeing right through any type of magical trickery. But even though he can see through the trickery, that does not mean he's been able to stop this. After meeting up with people who know they're not in the right reality and who obviously remember Rachel as one of their best friends, as more of the story goes on with them all together, they finally decode or uncover the truth of a very sinister plot that is ongoing as they speak. Trigon, before he came to Earth to start the war and to hopefully coerce his daughter to work with him, he was starting to get very tired and very bored of conquering dimensions so easily. There was no more of a challenge for him, and there was nothing for him to truthfully gain at the end of the day. There's only one thing he really, really wanted even more than the power of his own daughter. It was the location of Azarath, which is exactly where Raven's mother sent her as a baby to remain undetected for the better part of her childhood, so Trigon could never find her and make her as evil as him. Azarath is also known as a paradise of sorts, and there's nothing more Trigon would love than to take a paradise world and to tear it down into one of his versions of hell. This new reality they have created, Trigon has dug so deep into the mind of Raven so that Trigon could try his best to locate within the memory of Raven the easiest way he could access some sort of door or portal or entrance to get into Azarath. That is what this new reality is. It is a mixture of Earth and Azarath being twisted into one, because Raven and Trigon needed to create this reality world from something that she knew at the very least. And building your playground from what you know allows you to enter pieces of your memory that you've long forgotten, and that's where she slowly started to build this new Earth reality into a form of an Azarath. But that's not all. With this dark plan of Trigon's, just before her eyes went red and she said the magical words, did her hand movement, and everything went white, in her crazy powerful magical capabilities, she took as much time as she could in those minuscule seconds and displaced a magical spell onto Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, and Arsenal, so that hopefully one day in this new reality, they would be able to wake up to the fact that this reality is in fact not real. And the reason why Raven and Rachel are separate entities, Trigon wanted to remove, I guess you could say, the good part of Raven, which is the human Rachel side. Trigon thought in the removal process from his own daughter, Rachel was killed in that process. But unfortunately for Trigon, the demon side of Rachel is not just as bad as he is. What the demon side of Rachel did was place her somewhere within this reality so that one day she would be able to seek out these people who do have their old real memories and to hunt her and Trigon down to finally stop him once and for all. She basically planted a backdoor without Trigon even knowing. Figuring out a plan on how they're going to find Rachel's other half in the process of developing a plan. Rachel has a long think about what magic has done to the world and how consequential magic has been, not to herself, not to the people close to her, but once again to the world as well. She starts to think about all the consequences of magic that she has directly been a part of, all the mistakes she has made in the past, all the deaths that have been on her hands, and what happens when a being like Trigon has these magical properties. Magic is not something that should be left in the hands of people or beings willing or capable of making terrible and life-threatening decisions. Continuing on, skipping a little bit of more details, they finally find their way to Trigon and the demon half of Rachel. Rachel reconnects with her demon half, what she is capable of doing now in this moment, since her full potential has now been untapped. She actually warps time as well and goes back to the moment before she killed her father, and in fact before her father ended up crushing Beast Boy's skull. This is where she performs an ultimate sacrifice and ends up having her Scarlet Witch moment where she says, "No more magic." And her father gets exactly what he's always wished for. A daughter in Raven who is so unfathomably powerful in the moment, she literally wipes out 99% of magic in the universe. Trigon's essence, he fades away from existence. All of his hellish pocket dimensions and realms crumble on itself. But this also means that with Raven, the demon form of her is officially gone, and she no longer has magical abilities. So now one has to wonder if this decision she's made here is even more dire than what happened before. She obviously is in a very vulnerable state where she would feel as if the universe would be better without any magic whatsoever. But the crazy thing about this now is what type of after effects will the lack of magic have on the overall universe, including Earth? What happens to all of these characters who have relied on their source of power coming from magic as well? Even though she has two men she currently loves in her life, Beast Boy and Tim Drake, what are they gonna think about the decision she made, and will it make them think of her differently? Raven might have hurt a lot more people than she actually thinks. There it is, guys, DC's House of M. Now, this story could continue on because I'm pretty sure there is a form of a sequel to House of M, and it would be about finding ways to bring magic back into the world, even if they could bring magic back in any way in general. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you thought of this DC's House of M story idea, where instead of mutants, it's more so on the magical sense. And let me know if you would like me to continue this story through whatever sequel Marvel made to this story. That is all I have for you on this one, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it. And until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.